Have you ever felt like you're living in a state of constant high alert? That a quiet siren is always sounding inside you, scanning the horizon for the next threat, a missed deadline, a difficult conversation, an unexpected bill? Modern life has conditioned us to accept stress as normal. We wear it like a badge of honor, an unavoidable byproduct of ambition and responsibility. Our bodies are perpetually tense, our minds race at 100 miles per hour, and we've forgotten what it feels like to be truly at peace. We try to manage stress with apps, vacations, and quick fixes, but it always returns because we're fighting the symptoms, not the root cause. But what if I told you that stress is not something that happens to us? What if stress is how we react to what happens? What if there is a way of living, thinking, and being that can fundamentally alter that reaction, transforming the inner storm into a calm, clear lake? This is not a fantasy. This is the promise at the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Buddhism, at its core, is not a religion in the conventional sense, but a profound science of the mind. It is a 2,500-year-old investigation into the nature of suffering and the path to its end. And at the center of that investigation is stress. In this video, we're going to move beyond surface-level tips. We will dive deep into 7 foundational practices and mindset shifts that are at the core of the Buddhist approach to life. These are not hacks or tricks. They are deep, transformative principles that, when practiced consistently, can permanently change your relationship with stress. This isn't about never facing a challenge again. It's about reaching a point where challenges no longer have the power to destroy your inner peace. Let's explore these 7 keys to a life beyond the grip of stress, together. The first and most foundational practice is a shift in perspective. It's the understanding that they observe, they don't absorb. How often, when you feel stressed, do you say, "I am stressed"? In that moment, you're identifying your entire being with a temporary feeling. You don't just feel stress, you become stress. It consumes you. The Buddhist approach offers a radical alternative: to observe without absorbing. Your thoughts, emotions, and sensations are like the weather. They come and they go. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes there's a thunderstorm. You are not the weather. You are the sky in which the weather happens. The sky remains vast, calm, and untouched, no matter how violent the storm. When a stressful thought or feeling arises, a Buddhist practitioner learns to take a step back and simply notice it. Instead of immediately diving into the story, "Oh no, I'm going to fail this project. My boss will be disappointed. I could lose my job." They simply note, there is a thought of fear. There is a sensation of tightness in my chest. This practice is called mindfulness. It is the act of watching your inner world with curiosity and without judgment. You become an audience to the drama, not an actor in it. You notice a thought the way you notice a cloud passing in the sky. It might be dark and menacing, but you know it's just a cloud. It will pass. You don't try to push it away or fight with it. That would be futile. You simply allow it to be, knowing that it is not you. There is a beautiful Zen story of 2 monks who came to a raging river. On the bank stood a young woman, afraid to cross. The senior monk, without a word, picked her up, carried her across the river, and set her down on the other side. The monks continued on their journey. Hours later, the junior monk, seething with indignation, finally burst out, "How could you do that? We monks are forbidden from touching women." The senior monk smiled gently and replied, "I left that woman on the riverbank hours ago. Are you still carrying her?" How many of us are still carrying the woman at the river, past grievances, future anxieties, stressful situations that are long over? The practice of observation allows us to leave her on the riverbank. You acknowledge the event, you acknowledge the feeling, and then you let it pass without carrying it with you. This is the first and most important freedom, freedom from identifying with your fleeting inner state. Once we learn to observe our inner state without being consumed by it, we can move to the next crucial step in managing our outer world. This is where we learn that they practice radical acceptance. Our mind is a resistance machine. We don't like what is happening, and we expend an enormous amount of energy mentally fighting with reality. This shouldn't be happening. Why me? If only he had acted differently. This fight, this friction between what is and what we think should be, is the very fuel of stress. Buddhism offers what can be called radical acceptance. It's crucial to understand. Acceptance is not passivity or approval. It doesn't mean you have to like the situation. It doesn't mean you don't take steps to change it. Radical acceptance is simply the clear and complete acknowledgement of reality as it is in this moment, without the mental fight. Imagine you're caught in a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull and resist, the tighter it grips. Stress works exactly the same way. The more you fight against an unpleasant reality, the more it ensnares you. The only way to get free is to stop pulling, to relax, to move into the discomfort, and then you can slide your fingers out with ease. The first of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths states, "There is suffering." This is not a pessimistic statement. It is a realistic diagnosis. Life is filled with challenges, sickness, loss, disappointment. Radical acceptance begins with this basic acknowledgement. Instead of being shocked and outraged every time something goes wrong, you accept it as part of the human condition. In practice, it looks like this. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of fuming and hitting the steering wheel, you take a breath and say to yourself, "Okay, I'm in a traffic jam. This is the reality of this moment." In that instant, the struggle ceases. You are still in traffic, but the internal source of stress, the resistance, has been unplugged. Only from this place of acceptance can you think clearly about what to do next. Call to say, "You'll be late." Put on some calming music. Just breathe. Radical acceptance is saying yes to the present moment, whatever it holds. It means you stop wasting your precious energy fighting what has already happened, and redirect it toward responding wisely to what is happening now. This acceptance of reality then creates the fertile ground for the next practice, which transforms our relationships with ourselves and others. This powerful antidote to the stress of conflict is the understanding that they actively cultivate compassion. A huge portion of our stress comes from conflict with other people who don't meet our expectations, and conflict with ourselves when we fail to meet our own ideals. We live with a harsh inner critic who constantly berates us for mistakes. We seethe with resentment at a coworker, a family member, or a stranger on the road. This constant internal and external conflict is a fire that burns up our peace. The antidote offered by Buddhism is the active cultivation of compassion, or metta. Metta is not just a passive feeling, it is a targeted mental training. It is like going to the gym for your heart. You intentionally practice wishing well for yourself and for others. The traditional metta meditation practice begins with oneself. You sit quietly and silently repeat phrases directed toward yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. This can feel strange or selfish at first, but it is the most crucial step. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You must fill yourself with kindness first. Then you gradually expand the circle. You bring to mind a loved one and direct the same wishes to them. Then, you think of a neutral person. Then, the most challenging part, you bring to mind someone with whom you have difficulty. You still extend the same wishes. This does not mean you condone their behavior. It means you recognize their humanity and wish for them to be free from the suffering that causes them to act as they do. Finally, you extend these wishes to all living beings. How does this reduce stress? First, self-compassion quiets your inner critic. When you make a mistake, instead of spiraling into self-blame, you can treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. Second, compassion for others dissolves anger and resentment. When someone acts hurtfully, you begin to see the pain and ignorance behind their actions. It doesn't excuse them, but it frees you from the poison of your anger. Practicing metta literally rewires your brain, strengthening the pathways for empathy and calm. You begin to see the world not as a battlefield, but as a web of interconnected beings, all of whom just want to be happy. Building on this compassionate view of the world, the next key removes the stress of clinging and fear of change. It's the deep recognition that they understand impermanence. A massive source of stress is clinging. We cling to pleasant moments, terrified of losing them, and we cling to unpleasant moments, terrified they will never end. In both cases, we are fighting a fundamental law of the universe. Everything is always changing. This law is called anicca, or impermanence, in Buddhism. Stress is the attempt to hold a river in place. It's impossible. A Buddhist practitioner doesn't fight the current. They learn to flow with it. They have a deep, embodied understanding that nothing lasts forever. When you are experiencing a beautiful moment, the understanding of impermanence allows you to enjoy it even more fully. Instead of clinging to it with anxiety, you immerse yourself in it completely, appreciating its fleeting beauty. And more importantly for stress relief, when you are going through a difficult time, the deep understanding of impermanence is your lifeline. You know, with absolute certainty, that this too shall pass. The storm may be intense, but it will not last forever. This certainty prevents temporary difficulties from metastasizing into a sense of permanent hopelessness. There is an old Taoist story about a farmer whose horse ran away. "Such bad luck," his neighbors said. The farmer replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" The next day the horse returned with a herd of wild horses. "Such good luck," the neighbors exclaimed. The farmer replied, "Who knows?" Then his son broke his leg taming one of the horses. "Such bad luck," said the neighbors. "Who knows?" the farmer replied. Soon after, military officials came to draft all able-bodied young men for a war. The farmer's son was not taken. This story perfectly illustrates impermanence. We do not see the whole picture. Understanding this stops us from getting stuck in the stress of our current circumstances. You learn to trust the process of life, knowing that everything is in constant motion. This trust in the flow of life leads to a more open-hearted way of being in the world. The next practice radically shifts our focus from our own problems to our connection with others. It shows us that they practice generosity. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive. What does being generous have to do with my stress? Everything. Stress and anxiety are, by their nature, self-centered. We become fixated on my problems, my fears, my needs. Our world shrinks to the small, cramped space of the self. Generosity, or dana, is a powerful act that shatters this self-centered cage. When you perform an act of generosity, you shift the focus from yourself to another person. For a moment, your own problems recede into the background. It's crucial to understand that dana is not just about money. Buddhism speaks of the generosity of time, energy, attention, kindness, giving up your seat on a bus, listening fully to a friend without interrupting, sharing your knowledge, offering a sincere compliment. These are all acts of generosity. When you're feeling consumed by stress, try an experiment. Do one small, selfless act of kindness for someone else. Buy a coffee for a tired-looking coworker. Send an encouraging text to a friend. What happens is amazing. In the act of giving, you receive more than you give away. You feel a sense of connection, of purpose, of lightness. Science calls this the helper's high, a release of endorphins and oxytocin that counteracts stress hormones like cortisol. The practice of generosity breaks the scarcity mindset that fuels stress. It affirms that we have something of value to share. This simple mindset shift is incredibly powerful, reminding us that we are part of something larger than our own small worries. From this place of connection, we move to a practice that prevents countless sources of stress before they even begin. This is the discipline of knowing that they are mindful of their speech. Think for a moment. How much of your stress is directly or indirectly related to words? Your own or someone else's? The gossip that creates drama at work, the harsh criticism that wounds a relationship, the small lie that makes you worry about being found out. In Buddhism, right speech is a key part of the Eightfold Path. It is a practical guide to preventing suffering. Careless words create the causes for future stress. The practice of right speech comes down to 4 simple questions to ask yourself before you speak. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it beneficial? This doesn't mean you must become silent and boring. It means you become mindful and intentional in your communication. You understand that your words have the power to create either peace or conflict for others, and ultimately, for yourself. When you practice right speech, you proactively eliminate countless potential sources of stress. You stop creating drama. Your relationships become more honest and trusting. Your conscience is clear. You create an environment of peace and clarity around you. It's like preventative medicine for stress. Finally, all these practices are supported by one overarching principle that declutters our lives and our minds. The last key to a stress-free existence is to understand that they embrace simplicity. The modern world equates complexity and busyness with success. We clutter our calendars, our homes, and our minds. We are constantly striving for more. More things, more achievements, more experiences. And every new more adds a layer of complexity, and therefore a layer of stress. The Buddhist approach is the opposite. It teaches that true happiness and peace are found not in acquisition, but in letting go. There is a famous Zen story about a professor who came to a master to inquire about Zen. The master began to pour tea, filling the professor's cup to the brim and continuing to pour as it overflowed. "It is full! No more will go in," exclaimed the professor. "Like this cup," the master said. "You are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" Our minds are like this cup. They are overflowing. Stress is the feeling of being overfull. Simplicity is the act of emptying our cup. In practice, this means consciously eliminating the non-essential. It involves physical simplicity, like decluttering your home, schedule simplicity, learning to say no, and leaving white space in your calendar. Digital simplicity, unsubscribing from needless emails and limiting social media, and mental simplicity, consciously letting go of desires that create stress. By embracing simplicity, you reduce the background noise of your life. Your mind has room to breathe. You begin to appreciate the simple joys that were always there but were drowned out by the noise of complexity. You discover that you need far less than you thought to be truly at peace. It is crucial to understand that this is not a switch you flip once and stress is gone forever. These are practices. Like training the body, they require consistency and patience. There will be days when you get absorbed by stress, when you resist reality, when you speak carelessly. That is okay. The key is to gently, with self-compassion, return to these practices again and again. Over time, a profound shift will occur. Stress will cease to be your enemy. It will become a signal, a teacher. The feeling of stress will become a reminder. I am identifying with my thoughts. I am resisting the present moment. I am lacking compassion. And you will have the toolkit to respond wisely. You will no longer be a victim of your reactions. You will become the architect of your inner world. And in that lies true freedom. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe for more content on wisdom and inner peace, and share it with someone who might benefit. And I would love to ask you, which of these 7 practices feels most needed in your life right now? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time on this journey. May you find peace, clarity, and a life free from the grip of stress.